Clarity doesn't arrive gently. Sometimes it follows rupture, when the noise fades and you're left trying to piece it together, facing what has shifted within you. From this space emerges Bizarrekult, with old som finesse, all there is. A record shaped by personal crisis, refined in solitude. Led by Siberian-born, Norway-based creator Roman, the project sits between raw Norwegian black tradition and introspective atmosphere, each release meticulously capturing a sense of psychological exposure, like a personal record of his inner states of being. With this incredible release recently out on February 20th through Season of Mist, the focus shifts from isolation towards recognition, confronting powerlessness, guilt, and the realization that isolation is rarely experienced alone. In this episode of Echoes of the Pit, we are honoured to welcome Roman to talk with us about this incredible album, diving into the concepts, emotions, and the choices that help shape it. Welcome, Roman. How are you?
Thank you. I'm really great. That's a very powerful introduction.
And congratulations on the release. It was out only a couple of days ago.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's actually 2 days ago, and there was a little bit a few days before there was like online stream premiere. But yeah, it's been overwhelming, really astonishing feedback, really impressive by all the messages and yeah, comments and articles. Yeah.
Amazing. And how does it feel for you to have this body of work now finally taking on a life of its own out there in the world?
Well, you see, it's pretty funny because for me, it's more like, it takes so much time from the moment when you are basically done and have delivered everything to the production, to the label. So then it's more or less like, you are kind of done with work,
Yeah,
let's say a year before that, and then you just wait until everybody else is familiar with it. So it's interesting to see, how it develops and what happens. You can say it's something like you can compare it to having kids. It's like you done your job and then you just see how they develop and what's happening to them.
yeah,
But you have,
absolutely.
but then you have in a way little control of what happens afterwards because you're done. You can't change anything or yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would absolutely love to sort of dive in a little bit around the overarching feeling within the album and the concepts. This album does feel to have quite a sense of exploring that deep tension that can be found between chaos and clarity. Do you think that sense of clarity comes from surrendering to what you were feeling at the time of inspiration, or does the music tend to guide you there?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit, there's like two processes. The first process is writing music itself, and then the other process is writing lyrics.
Hmm.
So normally it's lyrics is taking place after I'm done with the music. And
Yeah.
then in a way, this is what shapes the final result
Hmm.
when I work with text. And then sometimes you just feel like, oh, actually, I have something on this topic, or I have an inspiration on this, like laying somewhere in notes in files. I would like to pick up this topic again and develop it so that it fits this particular piece of music.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know if there's it's very interesting to think of, okay, well, if there's like a connection between, as you say, sense of clarity, acceptance, surrender. But it's not really surrendering to something. It's more like really just accepting things the way they are. And
Mm.
the whole this concept about um, what you see is all there is in a way. And this is where it comes to the statement also fins. It basically comes from this book by Daniel Kahneman, the mathematician, economist,
Yeah.
and it's basically about that, you take decisions and you think about things and you see things based on what you know, but
Hmm.
then there are things that you don't know, and of course things would happen in life simply because you are not aware of so many things that you haven't thought of, you have no control. And then it basically becomes it is what it is. You just accept things that happen, and then at some point, you can compare it to somewhat to, I don't know, spiritual teaching in a way, when you accept the things the way they are, and then you feel that it's much easier in a way to carry on, because you
Mm.
know that, okay, you've done your stuff, and yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true. And looking at that creative process, sort of as you've sort of touched on a little bit, there is sort of an instinctual pull to the music within the album, and there's quite a lot of symbolism and concepts that the interaction between those feels very deliberate. At what point in your creative process does that sort of raw instinct become conscious choice within the songwriting and perhaps the lyrics when you're describing the sort of two processes?
Yeah.
And how would you
Uh,
balance the two?
yeah. So for me, basically, the whole, let's say, music writing is really like, in a way, somewhat unconscious, in a way that there's no concept, in a way. It's more like, okay, well, I have some kind of inspiration, and then I just create something, just sit and play, and then
Mm.
in a way, it feels like, okay, I feel this, the wish to go a certain way, and then I try, in a way, to fulfill my feeling, in a way. It's like, okay, I
Yeah.
feel like, okay, here it should be something, and then I'm, in a way, looking for something. It like takes from somewhere, I don't know, it's in a way hard to explain.
Hmm.
But it's like, the thing is that it's not like, it's not about thinking like, okay, here I need to do something fast, or here I need to do something like this. It's more like, it's interesting to see how the music develops, and
Yeah.
then um, catching this, in a way, catching the feeling, like, if I have a feeling inside myself, or emotion, or intention, or just some kind of sense of something, and I want to actually grab it, and
Yeah.
then, like, okay, when I feel that, okay, this is actually something that I like, I want to keep it, then,
Mm.
in a way, I continue working with it. And
Yeah.
when I know that, okay, this sounds like more or less half finished track, in a way, then I work with it more, and so on, and build layers. And then
Yeah.
and when I have the music, then I just listen to it, and I'm trying to, in a way, to also to grab this, the feeling that it gives to me, and then the words, they kind of, pop up themselves, in a way.
Yeah. Wow.
Initial ideas, and then I develop them, like. And also, let's say, with previous albums, I also used to, either go on a hike, or running in the forest, and just listening to my own music, and then, the ideas, they were just there. And then, if it's something that kind of keeps coming up,
Yeah.
the feeling or the idea, then okay, well, this is what I want to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. And given that sort of quite like you say, unconscious or instinctive approach to things, has a track or lyrics ever sort of revealed something about yourself or a situation that you're previously unaware of, sort of as you're diving in through it?
No, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say, actually. For me, it's more like, it's more about making snapshots of life, in a way.
Hmm.
Like, it's sometimes, it's like, when you think about something, and then this process, somehow you want to fix it in the music,
Mm.
memorize it, and, just like, okay, because for me, it's more like, when I'm thinking of, okay, I want to make let's put it like this: if I would like to make a statement about something, I would put it in a song.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And sort of and moving on, like so within Bizarrekult as a project, it did begin as a solitary project within yourself, obviously, and it was originally inspired, I believe, by your poetry and poetry in general. However, on this album, you have invited a number of vocal collaborators into the cult within the album. On that sort of emotional and conceptual level, does hearing another voice embody the emotions and process, transform the tracks for you, or create a sense of solidarity and strength in the fact that that turmoil isn't alone, it's quite a shared experience?
Yeah. You see, I think with collaborations, it's very interesting because I think it's like you feel that, okay, this is the right person to collaborate, by knowing
Mm.
the works from another person, by knowing a little bit more about these people as personalities. So it's not
Mm.
about, sitting in the room and thinking, oh, I want someone on the album. It's not
Yeah.
about this. And let's say with this album, it was more or less also unconscious, but also like intuitive
Mm.
desire to do something else because when I write the text and the lyrics, and then I come to a point when I realize, okay, actually, I would like somebody else to sing this
Mm.
or to scream here. Okay, how do I go for this? Because it's not. You need to have a certain degree of connection, but also, let's say, to be on the same wavelength with
Mm.
certain feelings and so on. So it's every each of those three collaborations is very unique in its nature on how we came to this result, and so it's about building it's it's about building friendships first and foremost, and then it ends up with some kind of collaboration. So if you think that, okay, originally, when I started writing this music roughly 4 years ago, I had no idea how it will be
Mm.
in the end. And and then just, when you work more, and then you come to a point that, okay, actually here I need something, I need a different voice, I need something else. And
Mm.
then, oh, actually, we just talked about this with somebody, or I just met and we had a lengthy conversation. It would have been great to do something. All right, okay, let's maybe try, and something like this.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, quite a beautiful process that it's so that the collaborations aren't purely based on, finding someone with a particular style or tone or texture. It's, again, sort of follows through the depth of the album and the music itself, having that, that connection with the collaborators as well, that the same mindset, and that's a really wonderful layered approach. I really enjoy that. And beyond this vocal collaboration, um, the work does feel like it does flow with quite a clear sense of cohesion, where each track seems deliberately positioned within the album. Then even, you move through to the cover art and the videos that further sort of mirror all those themes and concepts. When you're approaching a new album, you have touched on it a little bit, but do you sort of develop it as a series of individual tracks, or do you see it as a continuous narrative that will unfold over a soundscape?
Yeah, so initially there was no, like I said, there's no vision in a way. When I start doing something, it's just I have, let's say, drafts here and
Mm.
there, just laying around. And then when I was starting to gather something like more or less, okay, this can be my next album, and uh, then of course you start thinking about the track list and how the things what should be the order, how it sounds, and then again it's more like, sometimes you just feel that, okay, this should be here, or this should
Mm.
be in the end, let's say. And it's all about creating the flow in a way.
Yeah.
But also what is important is that here also on this album, with when it comes to lyrics, I also wanted to make like a small poem just from the track list.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you read it, like just the words, then it already gives some kind of an image or a vision. And
Mm.
then also with some of the tracks, also lyrically, there's an interplay between the tracks. When it comes to, let's say, the first two tracks, they are basically one text divided into pieces.
Yeah, right.
And so like the first one, it builds up to the second track, but then lyrically they are connected. It's just one larger poem or prose divided into pieces.
Yeah.
And then there's also interplay between fifth track and the last one in
Hmm.
some certain phrases because they are repeated
Yeah.
in the end. So like link in the tracks, and this is something that organically came up when I was finishing vocals. That I was like, okay, well, actually, I would like to link this because I think
Mm.
that makes sense and so on. So it's in a way, it's a process where you make corrections, adjustments, and some improvements as it develops when you when you in a way get acquainted yourself more with
Mm.
how the music goes. Okay, maybe these two should be changed, the other tracks or things like that, so that it's just listens more coherent in a way, more comprehensive. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And is it, or how important is it to you for listeners to find those links, to sort of think deeper without on those concepts, to discover those links between the songs and and the narrative of it as a whole? Or do you just as much appreciate people who love an individual track just for the power and the intensity of what that track is on its own?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the listener because I mean, it's like, let's say, for me, from let's say from the artist or from the creator point of view, it's more important to have a creation that is, I like makes sense for me first and foremost. That I have this certain idea, I have a certain vision. I make like, okay, the words that are there, they are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And then if people really want to get into this, that's excellent. If they just, because, like, let's say, for myself also, when I listen to other bands or let's say classical music or whatever kind of music, it's not always you really want to go to absolute tiny detail what it means.
Mm.
And, but sometimes you have a genuine interest, like, oh, actually, what this means, like, especially when it comes to music that is with lyrics in other languages, you want to maybe understand a little bit more. And then when you see, oh, okay, there's something interesting going on, maybe you
Mm.
want to dive in. And in a way, it's up to listener. If somebody just listens music, then fine. If somebody wants to know more, that's okay, up to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, it's like everyone decides what they want to find in music as long as they like it, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And moving through the album, with now, I will apologize in advance for my likely very incorrect pronunciation of some of the
That's okay.
titles. But moving through the album, tracks like uh, Drom, is that correct?
Yeah,
Dream
yeah, the
and
gum. Yeah,
and Avmarked, which is
yeah,
powerlessness, I believe.
yeah,
These ones explore concepts of escape and the loss of control. Do you
yeah.
tend to write to overcome? You have spoken a little bit on this, but to overcome those feelings and states of being on a personal level, or as you say, just to acknowledge and almost time capsule that these experiences exist within the world?
Well, I mean, it's in a way, these are snapshots, not of world in general, but it's more like it's personal experience first and
Mm.
foremost. So let's say every track that I produced, every lyric piece that I wrote, it's more or less connected
Mm.
to what I experienced myself, and
Yeah.
it's snapshots of my life, either in the past or in the I can't say in the future, but in these times or in the past, more or less. And
Mm.
then when we let's say let's take this piece, this example of Dream. So it's basically the track is about uh, um, being tired and burnt out in real life, and
Mm.
then when you fall asleep, then when you dream, you have a feeling that, oh, actually, I mean, this is very, basically explained in a way, very, let's say, maybe not very poetic, but
Yeah.
uh, that's in a dream there comes to realization, or at least there's a feeling that, oh, actually now I feel what I am, what I
Mm-hmm.
should be doing, where it all goes. But at the same time, as the dream comes to an end, this feeling, you kind of lose it, and
Mm.
then you get back to normal experience, to normal life, where you are not sure actually what I doing, and what is
Yeah.
this all about, why I doing this. This in this particular track, there's like a transition between, let's say, even different musical styles, you can say, like this.
Mm.
There's like very aggressive start, and there's very dreamy second part,
Yeah.
and this all to kind of help this feeling of illusion of, there's like this dreamy wavy part, the second part. And then
Yeah.
what we did here also, here it's with another vocalist, is with a female vocalist
Mm.
with a different voice than my own, but then also my voice is also mixed there. So it's just makes layers, so that it's like you're not really sure what's going on, who is singing, what's going on. And
Yeah.
this dialogue is like, okay, well, this is a kind of dialogue in a dream. So it's just to kind of make this, the feeling, and the just the experience, to put it there in this track. And then of course it's all personal, because I often feel like, okay, well, there's so much going on, and then at the end of the day, uh, you don't know actually, what is this what you're doing in your life? Is this what you want to do?
Mm.
What is correct? And so on.
Yeah. Do you ever find completing a track to feel like a sense of closure at all? Or does it help
Well,
resolve
no, you
things
see,
within?
no, I mean, I have to, if I want to record it, then it means that, if I'm recording it, it should be completed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then of course, if you think about lyrically, yeah, of course you can go back to something and maybe write more about the specific topic.
Mm.
But I don't, it's like I haven't come there, let's say. I haven't arrived to this point where I'm thinking that, oh, I should have done something differently. In a way, it's more like I mentioned in the beginning, it's like with kids.
Mm.
They are there. They are already there. You can't really change that much. It's like it is what it is. And then this music lives its own life in a way. People
Mm.
listen to it, people experience something with it. You can't do anything about this. And then even if you had, I don't know, let's say a certain vision or a certain intention,
Hmm.
people might experience it differently, and then you have no control about those things. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. It's like,
Yeah,
it's more like my job is done. I've done my part.
yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned in the intro, you were born in Siberia and now moved to Norway, which has
Yeah.
obviously physically brought you closer to black metal's roots. And while
Yeah.
Bizarrekult remains fairly grounded in that Norwegian black metal, your music does tend to expand and bend those traditions rather than sort of strictly follow it. How did that change in environment influence and shape the music and the evolution of Bizarrekult?
I don't know. I mean, it's more like, let's say, I started roughly 20 years ago with this project. And then I've been in Norway for almost like 18 years so far.
Wow.
So, it's like, and there have been many years that I haven't done any music at all. But
Mm.
then, of course, it's like when I decided to record music again, it was somewhere in 2019, when a friend told me that I should actually record what I created in Bergen in 2009, when I kind of moved to Norway. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, well, and then, I was thinking it was a very tough choice in a way to actually get back into music
Mm.
because I wasn't sure what's in it for me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking about, let's say financial aspects or whatever. It was more about like, okay, well, if I'm going to create something, like what is it going to be?
Mm.
What is going to be the shape of this? And actually, my main question was, well, music, okay, well, that's clear, but okay, what I'm going to say there?
Yeah.
Because for me, this was something really important that I need to have. I need to know what I would like to say.
Mm.
And then this was, in a way, essential and is still essential part for me, the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's, let's say, the move itself or relocation. Of course, it's impacted me as a person, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more, let's say, it's not about being somewhere closer to some musical tradition or something like this.
Yeah.
It's more about, like experiencing different things in life.
Yeah.
When you move to a different language space, cultural
Mm.
space, different working environments, and also just growing, being older, and yeah, just living the life, and then of course it affects to some extent, and then it's like, let's say, I put it to I leave it to the others to judge how much there's like musical tradition or something like this in
Mm.
the music. And um, so honestly, I don't know, but it was kind of a little bit funny. Like we had this conversation when we were in Denmark with my live band. We had a concert in Denmark, and we were discussing about this, and they were saying like, oh, okay, well, it's actually a little bit ironic that you are not really a native Norwegian,
Mm.
but we play here and we represent our home country, and it sounds like we are a Norwegian band. Like everything is,
Mm.
solid and very to the point that it's like there's no question about this. If somebody tells, okay, this is a band from Norway,
Yeah.
so there'll be like people would not be really questioning this because it sounds like a band from this country. And
Mm.
also when we were in UK, there was a guy asking about this. Okay, how do you manage this? And I was like, I don't know. It's just okay. Well, it is what it is. Maybe the lyrics in Norwegian also add something to this, to
Mm.
assumption or also experience that okay, this is a Norwegian band.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, it's I am what I am, but then I can identify myself with everything and nothing at all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. The complexities of being human and creating art, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like because this identity question is very complicated,
Mm.
especially when you move spaces, when you move countries, when you speak several languages, it becomes more complicated to
Yeah.
actually figure out what you are until you understand that you are yourself, and that's the
Mm.
most important property. Everything else is like, okay, well, it can be whatever you decide at a particular point of view, and people can label whatever they want, but you
Mm.
are what you are.
Yeah, you're the sum of all of those things together, and then
Yes, and so
what you
at the
choose.
same time, you are nothing of all those things because
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Then, as an artist, you are quite known for the deliberate choices in expressing yourself within your music, and including, as you've just mentioned, the languages used within tracks. Now, the this particular album closes with, again, terrible pronunciation, but Tume,
Tumhat. Yeah,
yeah, Tumet. There we go, which is emptiness.
yeah,
And it's possibly the first Bizarrekult track sung in English, which is
yeah,
a notable shift from
yeah,
the commonly used like Russian and Norwegian languages.
yeah.
Why did this track draw yourself to break new ground in that way and introduce English lyrics?
Yeah, the funny story about this is like when we were on tour in 2022 in Germany, there were some people asking me, like fans, people from concert were asking, yeah, why do you use Norwegian? And I was like, well, wait, you are now at the concert with the band singing in German, the other band singing in French, and a band from Norway in Norwegian. Like, what's the problem? Everybody
Yeah,
takes the language that they consider most appropriate for their art, right?
yeah,
But then, and for me, again, I touched upon this. There's this identity question, which sometimes you are not sure what's right. It's just like, okay, it feels right that here this will be this language.
mm,
And on the previous album, on Den Tapte Krigen from 2023, I have been mixing languages in one track.
mm,
And that was also a deliberate choice there because it was making sense for a story
yeah,
to be told. And also in this new album, like I said, in this track Dream, the story is told in Russian because it
mm,
makes sense.
mm,
Because when you dream, you dream in your mother tongue, and that's it. And but then in the last track, indeed, there's English lyrics. And the funny part about all this is that I have a guest vocalist there from Danish band Möl, and
yeah,
he's Danish. And then it's kind of ironic that for not for him and not for me, English is not the mother tongue, right?
mm,
And but the reason for this is that when I was working on this, working is not really appropriate word probably. When I was creating this music, somehow I had a feeling that I just started with some words in English, with some notes, lines, and I was like, oh, actually, why not? And so that's the whole story basically. But I think at the end it makes sense because the words that we have there, right? It's like we are again asking questions,
mm,
or like there's a story told by the main character. It can be me or Kim or anybody else. So, and there's a question like, am I alone like this? And the answer is no, we are many. And then
mm,
we have so many vocal layers there in the end, trying to highlight that we are actually many, meaning that uh, not talking about me and Kim, we are not we, but we in a way, people that can feel like this,
yeah,
have the same experience, the same emotions,
mm,
looking for answers on the same questions.
yeah,
And ironically, it's more like, okay, well, finally there's a track that is easier to understand maybe for others, for
yeah,
the listeners. Also, it's in a way, musically, it's quite a pleasant track to listen. So, okay, well, it's like, but I felt like, okay, this should work in a way that conceptually and just it sounded right
mm,
to use English and to do it like this. And I think it's the final result is really good.
yeah. No, it's awesome, and it does add that sense of, and particularly with those closing lines, being in English, obviously English being my mother tongue,
Yeah.
it very much spoke to me, but reflected that universal, collective experience feeling, with using a number of languages and introducing English, sort of, yeah, just extended and reflected more of that collective feeling that, regardless of where or what the inspiration of that moment or that feeling comes from, that feeling is experienced collectively a lot of the time. It was wonderful. My apologies. My dog just barked. He's been asleep. So I'm sorry about that. He's been fast asleep. Um,
It's okay. And
um,
actually, there's also like there's this like small, I mentioned, there's an interplay between this track Dream and the final one, because at the very end of the final track, I repeat some words from the track about the dream. So and that's like, these are like small nuances that in a way they mean a lot for myself.
mm,
And then it's more like, okay, well, maybe for some people, they would leave it unnoticed in a way.
Yeah.
There's just something, okay, there's some spoken words, but then it was for me, it's like, for me, it was actually the very last change I did in the album, and everything was completed and it was kind of ready. And then I was listening to it many times. And then, and one of the days I just came back home from work and I was like, okay, I want to add few words here in the end, even though I thought that everything is done, but then,
Yeah.
okay, I need to do this.
Yeah. Awesome. And now looking back at your previous releases over the years, how does this album, All There Is, mark that evolution of Bizarrekult, both in how it sounds and the way that it expresses the concept and I guess the turmoil and struggle that's addressed within it. Does
Well, for
the
me,
evolution come purely from personal growth as a human?
uh, well, I mean, let's put it like this. You see, it's like if we take those releases, it's more like the first album that came out in 21. It's basically music that was written in 2009.
Yeah.
So that's quite a big gap, right, between uh, let's say me writing music. It's like, oh, it's a large gap, almost 10 years.
Mm,
And then but then lyrically, let's say it's a little bit more closer. If we think about lyrics, all lyrics have been written between 2020 and 2024, let's say. So
mm,
so I think there's, like, for me personally, there happened a lot of things in those last 5 6 years
mm,
which are reflected in lyrics in a way. And then, let's say, on the first album that came in 2021, there was a lot of retrospective analysis
mm.
that was looking like in my childhood on, things like this, my upbringing. But then the new album Finns is more about me these days,
Yeah.
or 2 years ago, or 1 year ago. But then at the same time, what's really interesting is like what actually happens when we play live and when I go on stage. What actually happens is that I experience the lyrics in a way. I go back into
Mm,
this text, and for me, it's like um, an amazing experience in a way that on stage you are able to go into this and then actually to, in a way, feel, the feelings that you had,
yeah.
specific emotions, very, very distinct experiences that actually brought you to those lyrics. And when actually you're on stage, you go right into this. And
Mm,
then when you leave the stage, you are not there anymore. And it's very cool experience, just, to experience this on stage. This makes
yeah.
a very holistic experience also for people
Mm,
on the concert. But and also at the same time, it's really funny because when you're done with it and you are just, off stage and talking with people, I know, let's say at merch table or whatever, they are like, oh, actually, are you the vocalist of Bizarrekult? Like, yes. Well, but you look totally different from the person that was just there half an hour ago, really raging, or, really desperate. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, that's it. Because, but for me, that's the thing about it. It's like, you go into this experience and then I turn it off. And for
Mm,
me personally, that was, let's say, the most important thing in a way on not really growing up, maybe growing up, but more or less like uh, understanding this self appreciation in a way. Self control is to understand, okay, well, okay, I had this experience which maybe is not ideal, but then
mm,
I know that, I'm not going back into this feeling, or, I'm not, let's say, I'm not repeating my faults, or like
mm,
I'm not going to be in those situations with other people that left me in this kind of feeling, because I know a little bit more about myself and other people as well. So it's like there's a lot. So answering, going back to your question, is more like there's a big evolution in myself lyrically that kind of reflects that there's a big evolution in me, how
Mm.
I process the information that goes into me in interaction with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And how interesting that um, audience members, as you say, can be like, "Oh, you are you the same person?" You know, because and obviously it also reflects your growth that bringing up those you can still sort of immerse yourself in the feelings of where you were in that track in that point in time in your life, but then move through that for the next one, you know, and then to be able to walk off stage and be totally okay with those feelings and leave them in those moments reflects yeah, incredible personal growth because and understanding of oneself, which actually leads me a little bit into one of my final questions, which that a lot of your tracks are incredibly introspective and about your life and your feelings and a deep sense of exposed vulnerability. And so once they do come in to exist in that live setting, how do you translate something so deeply personal into a performance that will connect with others, obviously in that shared experience, but without losing the intimacy of the concepts?
Yeah. So here you see the thing is that let's say being I was really interested in classic literature like 19th century and those kind of things, and then it's all about sometimes it's indirect, and then uh, people that, let's say, don't not very close to me, they would not be able to understand what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, let's say, only people who really know me very well, or let's say that people even here, like my close friends that, like, let's say the guys that play with me in the band, they as they say, okay, we have a reason to play with you, because for us it really makes sense and matters what you say in your songs. And then it's like, so you don't have to be too open about absolutely everything, but then people get this idea, if we are going back to this, understanding the lyrics and those kind of things, it's more like, it's about passing the emotion or creating the certain image of certain experience or feeling or thought, or it's like when you read in a book, right? It's not necessary that you, like, the good book is the ones where you, I don't know, you can have tears, you can laugh, and you can enjoy it, like you really feel what the author, what was writing, right? It's like you can experience this, right?
Yeah.
So it's about this, it's about trying to, but not really trying, it's like not in that I'm thinking about, oh, how I do this,
Yeah.
it's more like an organic way that I want to say something about something, and certain feeling, and then I put these words on paper, and then I look at it. Okay, well, actually, I think this is good enough, and then uh, some close people can understand what I mean with very specific words. Some people would not, but then yeah, it's about conveying this emotion or specific image of something. And then it's, but at some point, of course, you feel like, okay, well, you walk on stage and you're basically, in a way, naked to some extent. But then, like, do people care or not? You don't know. So most of the time, probably they don't, and then, okay, whatever it is. Um, let's say the most challenging experiences for me were like when my mother was in my concert, even though she doesn't understand any word, it just felt awkward that, okay, well, this is this kind of metal stuff going on, and she have never seen it. It just feels a little bit stupid in a way, but yeah, whatever. Or let's say, actually, it's really good, like because like last concert we played here in Trondheim, both my wife and my kids were, and they really enjoyed it. So, and that was really great experience, so that they could actually see what's going on, because obviously they are the closest people, that the earliest people that actually hear some musical ideas. So we discuss things, and sometimes I even get feedback from my daughter, like, okay, now this doesn't sound right, like, what is this? I'm like, okay, well, you don't understand anything. No
But I was
worries.
saying what a really special process for people like your wife and your children to almost experience the whole development and the process along with you, and then
Yeah,
to be able to witness that in that sort of more finished state on stage
yeah,
would be incredible, because they, like you say, they would be the closest people to understanding and experience that without it being their own experience, if you know what I mean. The actual emotion behind it isn't their own, but they've experienced the process.
yeah.
It's really cool. Well, that will almost pretty well wraps us up. Thank you so much, Roman, for taking the time to share your thoughts and the journey behind this beautiful album. Before we wrap up, do you have any final words for listeners as they approach the album in its entirety for the first time?
I think it's important to really listen to it from start to finish.
Yeah.
So that would be my best advice, without interruption, really to dive into it from start to finish. And yeah, if they would like to get any additional understanding, don't afraid to reach out on social media, or yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. That what an extra layer of connection to the artists themselves. That's wonderful. Well, Altsum Finnes, is that how I pronounce it, or have I done that wrong too? How do you pronounce the album title?
Allt som finnes.
Beautiful. So all there is out now via Season of Mist, of course, and a record to really open yourself to and immerse yourself in and allow to linger is available on all streaming services. And of course, go ahead on to all the socials and support Bizarrekult. And I'm really honored to have had the chance to chat with you. And I thank you very much.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you.